Yo, what's going on guys, and welcome back to my channel to another video for Squad Busters. In this video we want to check out the tier list. Yes, I finally updated after the global launch and the previous update. So in this video we want to check out the latest changes to the meta, and I will tell you the winners and loser of those. Before we hop into today's video, some background knowledge. I have created 5 groups rating all the units, starting with the lowest tier, which is D, so I can't recommend picking those units as they are just not good. So don't pick them unless you have to. Followed by the C tier, B, A, and all the way up to the S tier. S tier means these units are really ham. Pick them as soon as you see them because they are defining the meta and are insanely good. Furthermore, I've considered the units being a 3-star unit, so not babies, not classic, and also not ultra. Ultra super hard to reach, especially for the free-to-play players. That's why I thought it's a good idea to remain with these 3-star, these super units. And I still have only super units by myself, so I know what I'm talking about. If you didn't watch the first video about the tier list, I can recommend to do so, because otherwise you may miss some fundamental things and background info for each unit. Starting off with the tier list, we can see right now here the units which I didn't change. And we can see there the S tier, that means the best units. They are still the Archer Queen, Barbarian King and the Tank, defining the meta as they are extraordinarily good. Archer Queen and Barbarian King boosting the attack speed, and we got there the Tank is doing just some tank things, super tanky, especially when getting into the tank and causing tons of damage. Followed by the A tier, and there we got still Max remaining together with Wizard, B, Barbarian, as well as Nita and the Hawk Rider. But why is there B? That's maybe a question of you. I still consider B as a really nice unit. Yes, her base attack is super high with 200 and she's super squishy with only 900 HP. But what I love is her special ability. She picks up bees and they are flying around her. That is really good in the late game when everything is coming closer to each other. Not only that you can keep away your opponents, it's pretty good to attack them. If you keep on poking them, running forth and back, you will cause additional damage just with the bees, and that damage is for sure not visible in the damage per second. So this is added on top. Damage per second are just the shots B is firing at the opponent divided by the time. On the B tier we got the healer together with Bo, Shelly and Colt. And some may not agree with the Bo there, but I still consider Bo not being too weak. Whenever you don't have access to a farming unit, Bo is pretty good, especially in the early game. I know later, super squishy, not causing too much damage against the players. It is hard to play with him and he is not too good. But for having a good start in a match and outplaying the enemies with a better farm, he is essential in some of the modes and matches. And for the healer, I'm struggling as well, because the heal is pretty nice with opening a crate, but it is still not too crazy, because in the late game, when you get access to the healer most likely, since it is an epic unit, well, you can't open too many chests anymore. And coming down below to the D tier, these are the weakest units. Dynamite, even we saw some changes there, remaining there together with the Goblin, also saw some changes. We will come to that in a second. And the Chicken. If we check out now the changes, we can see straight that Pam did move to the A tier. Coming from the B tier, she is in my opinion the best healer and will be pretty useful, especially with her healing turret. Furthermore, she has gained further 200 HP with the latest changes. Coming now to the Trader, which some guys consider being S tier, but I don't think he is worth an S tier. He is for sure worth an A tier. No doubt that he is insanely good, as he is converting coins into gems and he is giving you one further gem after the latest changes. But that is not the key why I placed him there. And this is just the value for being a single unit. If he is fusioned, he is giving you even more gems. But the most important thing, especially for the late game, is that they have increased the gold output for the monsters in the later stage of the game. That alone is making him in the end game super worth, and it would be not the first time I climb up in the very last seconds the positions, making it to the first with some traders and the additional gold output at the end of a game. Furthermore, we can see on the A rank Mavis and Crack, and I have ranked them higher because I'm playing them more often than before, and I have the feeling that in pretty much any case, when you have access to one of those units, pick them. And also your opponent players will pick them, as they are providing you coins together with gems. With the latest change, Mavis has now also the chance of getting some gems from collecting carrots. That brings her pretty even towards Crack. While they both being not the best fighters, neither the tanks, they are still super solid to play and will help you to get ahead of your opponent, especially in the early game. Combining them with a trader is pretty nice. With the latest changes to the skeletons of the witch, I considered her a little bit lower than before, and I have to point out that since the update I have played her less often comparing it to before the update. Yes, she is still causing good amount of damage with 230 damage, but these skeletons, which make her really useful, got a little bit weaker after the update. Yes, they got more HP, but they also have a shorter lifetime. You can see less skeletons, thanks Supercell for that, because we can see less often crashes of the server. But somewhat I feel she's a little bit weaker than before. The quite opposite of that is the Royal King. The Royal Recruits have been buffed massively, and in the late game, if you have a Royal King and spawn all those Royal Recruits in the center with an additional spell, it is kinda crazy how tanky they are, and they are completely confusing the opponent, since somewhat the enemy will fire some shots at these units instead of your squad. Well, I have rated Mortis now one rank lower as well. I don't know even why, because he didn't see any changes, but I have the feeling he is not too good. If you get him early, for sure pick him, as in the early game his additional monsters are super useful. But in the late game, yes, if there is a Mortis running with multiple monsters around him, that is still looking huge, but the impact is not too crazy. Those monsters are dying over time, and you will cause additional damage to the monsters. They are dying even faster. Furthermore, Penny, I did move her down from the S tier, and honestly I don't know why I've placed her last time in the S tier. I guess I was a little bit confused over there. She is still super good. She is causing damage to a single target with 230 damage per second, 1300 HP. She is not too squishy, and I still consider her being the little tank according to her damage. And especially when she is fusioned, she is even becoming tougher as all the other units. The damage is pretty good. If you have multiple pennies even being fused in your squad, that is pretty good. But for sure, the treasures do not have the biggest impact. Combining her with a trader is still pretty nice, and I play her very often. After my initial thoughts that Heavy is A tier, I've moved him down to B tier, because he is taking too long to really cause some damage. If an enemy is playing it clever, he is standing in the front line being defensive, but you have to wait to fire, and this is not fitting to the playstyle that you want to poke and kill first the enemy lower units or low HP units, which most likely cause more damage, and if you are then just standing at your position waiting for the massive damage of Heavy, well, the enemy will run around and kill your back units, and then you have only the Heavy, yes, causing a lot of damage, but if multiple units attack him, he will still melt away. The last two units which see some changes have been El Primo as well as the Medic. Medic still don't know about really the use case. He's not a good healer, not a good tank or damage dealer, and that's why he did move down to the C rank. El Primo has also moved down a little bit. Yes, he has a good ultimate, but that's it. Yes, he can tank some damage, but I'm feeling so weird with El Primo. Sometimes he's jumping completely off from your position. That might be a bug. But then if you want to run away and you have one El Primo sticking back because he jumped to the nowhere, that's why I think he's not too good anymore. Maybe we will see a buff to him in the future, and for sure he's healing on its ultra form, but this will not be a big game changer. In the latest update, the Goblin as well as the Chicken got 100 further HP. The Goblin gives you more coins when joining the squad, and the Chicken gives you one additional turbo boot. But well, that did not have a big impact in my opinion to the meta, and they still remain in the lowest tier. So what are your thoughts on the total tier list? Do you have any recommendations? Please write down below in the comment section. And a big shout out to you guys for supporting me and watching this video until the end. Thank you guys, and see you soon.